Where were you in March 2020 when you heard the news about the deadly new pandemic called coronavirus, or commonly known as COVID 19? Good evening, and welcome to a special edition of Give Me a Break, Throwback Thursday, called Echoes of the Pandemic 5 Years Later. I'm Jonathan Carmody. It was 5 years ago this month that the dreaded COVID 19 pandemic happened. And now, 5 years later, are we still hearing echoes of the pandemic? Is there going to be another COVID happening? Are we going to see new tests? And are we going to see more schools going back to normal and not going to the route of the pandemic? That's what tonight's special is all about. Tonight, we're going to focus on a bunch of the pandemics we can throughout the 2 hours of this broadcast. From education to even a mother who went to the school board and pleaded with them to remove mask mandates. Let's begin. Let's begin where all was. If you lived in the state of Texas, I do mean, if you lived in the state of Texas, then what you might have noticed was a continued increase and even a debate on protocols.
And a good afternoon.
So what are those protocols? Let's take a look.
Holdings.
This was back in 2021, which was a year after the pandemic, which we're going way ahead.
Well, good evening, everyone, and happy Father's Day to all the dads. I'm Paulo Salazar. We begin with the latest numbers for COVID-19 cases in the Coastal Bend. Nueces County is reporting 36 new cases today, which brings the total now to 633. 238 of those cases
And even then, people were asking questions, and we were over 100 numbers over triple digits because of the new pandemic. And throughout the broadcast, we start at the beginning of each broadcast, we started focusing on giving you the latest numbers and the latest updates from school. So after spring break, you might have heard messages saying, school's gonna be canceled for another week until they can come up with a solution. And what was that solution? A thing called remote learning or online learning, as some people call it. We'll get to that later. But the thing is, it's like, a lot of people, these 5 years later, we were in lockdowns, we had a mask mandate, and many people did not want to get their vaccines because of, for children. It was made for adults. And I'll tell you, I have my vaccine card right here. I still have it to this day. And every time I look at it, I'm like 3.5 years COVID free because I took the vaccine and I kept myself socially distanced. And like we've been talking about, you gotta stay socially distant. You gotta wash your hands. You have to have disinfectant wipes. It's like we've been talking about. So I think today the numbers have decreased, and we're probably not going to see a new pandemic happening. And years later, the U.S. topped 39 million.
From Chris TV.
Take a look.
COVID-19
Is Chris 6 News at noon.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Sierra Pizarro. We start today with a grim COVID-19 milestone. According to an NBC News tally, the U.S. surpassed 39 million cases since the start of the pandemic. COVID-related deaths have topped 640,000. Numbers are expected to increase by the end of today as state and local health departments update data. On August 1st, there were 35 million COVID cases reported, and in May, there were 33 million.
We had stay-at-home orders. We had Zoom learnings for those that are working in offices. There were Zoom learnings, and you had to do and a lot of workplaces had a mask mandate, which included myself. Now, when vaccines came into play, it was my decision. I was on guardianship and knew there was only one new death, 518 cases, and the media started reporting on this and having us scared. And if you are at a stay-at-home order, you are at a stay-at-home order for at least 5 days. After the 5th day, you get yourself tested, and if negative, you're good to go. Positive, that's another 5 days out of your ass. So that's how it was for people at home. Now, what about schools? Later, we're gonna hear from Jennifer Dillingham, who back in August of 2020 went into people's homes and made them go to school. Otherwise, she would prosecute them. When we come back, a look at COVID-19 and education, from remote learning to even school board debates and fights that would even lead to school boards shutting down their local meetings, as our Give Me a Break special, Echoes of the Pandemic, 5 years later, continues. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Echoes of our Give Me a Break special. Welcome back to our Give Me a Break special, Echoes of the Pandemic, 5 years later. Tonight is a 2-hour special based on what's been going on since 5 years since the pandemic. It was March 2020 that the U.S. experienced COVID-19, and it was also this year in March the city of Corpus Christi issued mask mandates and stay-at-home orders. So far, focusing on what's been happening in those stay-at-home orders. Now, let's turn into education. When spring break ended and a lot of people were getting ready to go back to school, they confirmed that school was canceled, but ways had to happen. There was a thing called remote learning. If you ever heard of Zoom, Zoom was a way to interact with your kids, interact with students. But it was also a breeding ground for Zoom bombers. And if you remember, we did a Give Me a Break investigation into Zoom bombing by looking into 2 YouTubers, 3 actually, Dom Tracy, Zax, and Jack Doherty. Jack Doherty and Zax were 2 of them doing those Zoom bombings. There are videos of them doing those Zoom bombing pranks. So you go on YouTube and look up Zoom bombing. And you'd have to go back to 2020. We'd have to go back to 4 years later. People were trolling their Zoom classes. And even what happened is police can get involved. Let's take a look at what happened years ago. So let's take a look at some of the videos all about crashing into Zoom and even him getting arrested. This was from Jack's video.
Who do I want to be today? Do I want to be the person from my dream?
Should I overthink it? Don't overthink it.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hey guys, today. So guys, basically, before we get in this video, I just want to say, please watch the whole video because a lot went down and I'm kind of in serious trouble for something I didn't even know was illegal. And I just want to make sure you guys all watch this whole entire video because I'm also going to be showing clips of the detectives coming to Zach's door at the end of the video, guys. So stay tuned for the whole video. You don't want to miss that. There's a lot of stuff in this video. And make sure notifications set to all because I'm going to be posting a longer video in 2 days with actual footage of detectives and police calls and everything. So make sure you guys are ready to see that video because it's going to be dropping either Sunday or Monday. I'm not too sure yet. And please just drop a like and subscribe. It takes 0 time. Please just drop a like and subscribe. But yeah, this video is just me a rundown of what happened because I want to upload something today just to let you guys know what happened and why I wasn't going to be uploading a certain video today. Because I did have a Zoom video ready to upload today, but I'm not going to be uploading it because of the trouble I got in for my last one. But yeah, guys, basically a lot went down. But before that happens, I want to make sure again you guys drop a like and subscribe and follow me on social medias, which are on screen right there, to stay updated with me more on what's going on with this situation because I'm going to be posting updates on there very frequently all the time. So make sure you guys stay up to date with that as well. But yeah, guys, basically what happened was, if you guys know Zach's, he and I joined a bunch of Zoom classes and we thought it was completely okay and legal because we saw a bunch of other bigger YouTubers also posting these Zoom videos, and that's the reason why we did it in the first place. So I thought since they didn't get in trouble, we wouldn't get in trouble, especially considering the illegal things that they did in there. So I thought, alright, we'll be fine as long as we don't do anything that bad. But what ended up happening is Zach got in a lot of trouble. Like, there's articles and news things all over the internet now about him, and like, I'm his associate or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, basically these Zoom videos where we got codes from our fans, but for this specific one, Zach actually gave me a code from his school, and I joined the class, clowning around, making fun of my mom in it. Nothing that bad, obviously, but I guess we disrupted the class enough to where the teacher ended the Zoom class. We thought it was no big deal, like, oh, they're just gonna go start again tomorrow, but apparently we shut down Zoom for the whole entire state of Connecticut, which is insane, and we didn't know we would do that. So first off, I want to say I'm sorry for that. We had no bad intentions, just to get a good laugh and have the kids laugh or whatever, but we obviously had no intentions of shutting down anything for any state, and it stinks that it got to that point, but we thought we were fine with what we were doing because we saw all these other YouTubers do it, but I guess we weren't, and now we're in serious trouble. But yeah, basically Zach is considered arrested, but they didn't take him in because he's a juvenile and because of obviously all the stuff that's going on right now, so that's why he wasn't taken in. But yeah, he's basically considered arrested. If you look up articles, it says blah blah blah, teen arrested because of Zoom bombing and stuff like that. I'm very, very stressed out. I've been going through a lot recently as well as that, and a lot happened, guys, and yeah, all this is just absolutely insane, and I didn't think it would come from this one Zoom video, especially I think it all has to do with just this one class. There's not much I even know about the situation. I know a lot about it, but there's so much more I want to know, but there's no one to ask. Like, there's no one that really knows much about the situation. There's not enough information online for us to know that it was legal. There's nothing. There's literally only warnings for teachers and schools that there are Zoom bombers, but nothing saying that Zoom bombers could get arrested at the time when I filmed these videos. So I thought it was completely okay, but apparently I guess not. And it's just really frustrating for me as a creator because I just want to put out the best content and the most entertaining content for you guys, and I see all these other YouTubers doing it and that it's a trend, so I was like, oh, might as well do it because it was very funny. I laugh at all these, like, I think they're super funny, and I'm sure you guys do as well, but I didn't know that all this would come out of it. But yeah, guys, what happened is Zach was basically 2 detectives showed up to his door and summoned him and basically gave him 3 charges and a court date, and then I think that's going to happen to me. I'm not 100% sure, but I got on the phone with the police department today that knows everything that's going on, the one in the town that Zach lives in, and they basically talked to me and my dad about everything that was going on and what's going to happen to me, and they said that if I go to Connecticut, I'm going to get summoned and get a court date. So I'm basically going to have to go to Connecticut to get all that out of the way and to just get that done because I'm so stressed out. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. Like, it's actually so bad, and I really want to stop thinking about it, but I literally cannot. And this is honestly the worst thing that's ever happened, but this is what happens when you're a YouTuber, guys. So yeah, please just show some love in this video. It's the least you guys can do because I literally did this for your guys' entertainment, and now I'm getting in so much trouble for it, and I'm so sorry that I did it, and I just really wish all these charges can be dropped, and I just regret it so much. I honestly had no idea that this was going to cause me this much trouble, and I had no idea it was, like, illegal at all, and I just regret doing it in the first place, and I really wish, like, I just can't get it out of my mind. I just want to cry. Like, it's actually so bad. Like, it's been on my mind all day. It's like 6 o'clock, and I haven't left my house. Like, I'm just, like, this is on my mind all day long. I just stopped everything I'm doing. My life is on pause because I can't stop thinking about this. I'm so stressed out. My parents are kind of upset with me. My dad warned me in the first place not to do it, but I was like, Dad, listen, all these other YouTubers are doing it. They're not getting in trouble. Why would I get in trouble? But now that's the case, that I'm in trouble, and it's honestly so bad, guys. And yeah, so Zach was basically considered arrested. And I just wanted to update you on what's going on with this situation and what's actually happening because there's a bunch of news articles and, like, news channels reporting on this, and I just wanted to let you guys know why I wasn't going to be uploading a regular video today and everything that's going on because you guys are a part of my life. I think you should know about this. And there's a lot more going behind the scenes that I can't talk about right now, and I'm going to focus more on in the next video because I don't want to say the wrong things that could put me in a worse position. But yeah, guys, new videos going to be dropping on Sunday or Monday, so stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout. This is just just a short little video letting you guys know what's up. I'm gonna play a short little clip of the detectives going to Zach's door and everything that happened. I was on FaceTime with him when all this happened as well. I was freaking out, like I was really about to have a heart attack. He was about to have a panic attack. Like everything was just going so bad. I just couldn't believe that this was reality and that all this was actually happening. Cause I didn't think this could happen to us. Like I thought, hey, it would happen to Nelk first or happen to another YouTuber, but it's happening to us and it's so bad and it's so scary and I don't want to be dealing with this, especially with everything going on right now. I think it's very, very bad. But all this stuff is absolutely insane. I'll play the clips for you guys of the detectives going to Zach's door right now, but make sure you guys drop a like before we play that and subscribe and make sure you guys have done all that stuff because this is obviously absolutely insane. And yeah, guys, here's the clips.
The video bombing was from his associate on YouTube.
My friend?
He has a video up on YouTube of the teacher that reported to us that they were leaving.
Right. By all means, it's not right,
Listen,
but...
you shut down the educational process. You committed crimes, and we're going to issue a summons for these crimes right now.
Okay.
He's going to be issued a summons for computer crime 5th degree, conspiracy to commit computer crime 5th degree, and breach of peace.
So yeah, guys, those were the clips. It was absolutely insane. That was just a short little 30 seconds of what happened. There's going to be a lot more in the next video of me talking to the police, talking to the detectives, and everything, guys, in the next video. So make sure you have your post notifications on set to all so you don't miss that next video because it is absolutely insane, guys. You have no idea. And yeah, guys, that's basically it for the video. Please show some love, guys. It's the least you can do because I did this for your guys' entertainment purposes. But I ended up getting a lot of trouble for it, so it all stinks, but it does come with being a YouTuber, and yeah, guys, I guess it's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
TikTok.
Jack says he knew about it. All the clips that you see, he was arrested. He was not arrested, although what happened was he was the one doing the Zubon along with Zach. Now, he was charged. If you haven't tuned the broadcast, he was charged for computer crime in the 5th degree, conspiracy to commit computer crime in the 5th degree, and breach of peace. If he was convicted, he would face jail time. But in the state of Connecticut, if you're not 18, you cannot be talking to an officer of the law. Basically, you can't talk to an officer of the law if you're under 18. You're 16 under, 18 older, you're okay. If you're a juvenile, you cannot talk to an officer. No questions, no nothing. That's why distraction in the educational process is happening because of all this stuff that's going on. So, how have things been changed since 5 years? How has education changed? How has even the school board changed when it comes to mask orders like this? When we come back, a woman who back in 2021 went to the board and said that she and her daughter wants the mask mandates removed. And she brought up some points. Also, a school board meeting that ended in them shutting down and community members starting to want to fight, yell, and scream. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our Gaming Break special, Echoes of the Pandemic 5 years later. Tonight we're focusing on what happened, what's been going on since the pandemic, and new changes that are happening after the pandemic. When Joe Biden was president, he said the pandemic ended, but there are still echoes out there. So tonight we're throwing back to when the pandemic started and what happened during the pandemic. Now meet a Georgia mom. She went to the Board of Education in Georgia just to simply end the mask mandate. And as you're about to hear, this mother went viral with her words. With her words. She was on Fox. This was at Gwinnett County Public Schools. And what you'll see, if you saw the video, you'll know she was frustrated about the mask mandate. But let's hear her. But you'll hear what she had to say about it and probably the studies. That was to when the vaccines were put in order. Take a look.
Every month I come here and I hear the same thing. Social emotional health. If you truly mean that, you would end the mask requirement tonight. This is not March 2020 anymore, and it's time. Take these masks off of my health. If you truly mean that, you would end the mask requirement tonight. Tonight. This is not March 2020 anymore. We have 3 vaccines. Every adult in the state of Georgia that wants that vaccine is eligible to get it right now, and every one of us knows that young children are not affected by this virus. They're not, and that's a blessing. But as the adults, what have we done with that blessing? We've shoved it to the side and we've said, we don't care. You're still going to wear a mask on your face every day, 5 and 6-year-olds. You still can't play together on the playground like normal children, 7 and 8-year-olds. We don't care. We're still going to force you to carry a burden that was never yours to carry. Shame on us. My 6-year-old looks at me every month before I come here. She says, are you going to tell them tonight? Tell them I don't want to wear this anymore. And I say, baby, it's not time to fight that battle yet. I try to explain that there's so many things. But it's April 15th, 2021, and it's time. Take these masks off of my child. And I know what I'm going to be met with. But Ms. Taylor, the CDC, we did not vote for people at the CDC. We did elect leaders who do create policy. We elected the 5 of you. We chose you to make difficult decisions for our children. We chose you to make decisions that would be in our children's best interest, and forcing 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9-year-old little children to cover their noses and their mouths where they breathe for 7 hours a day, every day for the last 9 months for a virus that you know doesn't affect them. That is not in their best interest. And this has to stop. Defend our children. My 6-year-old can't come up here and say this. It has to stop. Take these off of our children.
A very passionate plea right there. And earlier this morning, the mom spoke to Fox and Friends First. Here is the full interview.
Every month.
So here's that full interview with the mother.
Every month I come here and I hear the same thing. Social emotional health. If you truly mean that, you would end the mask requirement tonight. This is not March 2020 anymore.
Joins me live. Courtney, thanks so much for getting up with us. When did you reach your breaking point?
I think month after month, I have been waiting for this mask requirement to end, or at the very least, ease up. And there's just no end in sight, and nobody's even having the discussion about when this is going to stop.
Your kids are extremely young. They are in that crucial developmental stage, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2, 4, and 6. How much are kids losing developmentally by not being able to see those social cues? And especially for your 2-year-old, really not recalling a world where people were not wearing masks.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking to me for her, for my 2-year-old. But yes, my oldest is in kindergarten, and kindergarten is supposed to be fun, and they play together. They learn how to play together. They learn social norms and how to solve conflict among themselves, and how to read facial expressions from their peers and their teacher. And I don't see how any of the children can really do that and have a real childhood right now. I think it's very difficult.
Courtney, what's been the reaction to your remarks?
The reaction, the feedback that I've received over the past 24 hours has been overwhelming. I've had people reach out to me from across the country in solidarity and in agreement, and thanking me for standing up for children. And it's overwhelming, and I'm humbled by it. I'm very grateful for all of the support that I've had.
Do you think all this publicity will lead to any changes both in Georgia and nationwide?
I don't know, but that is my prayer. I do pray that this brings about change, and at the very least, it brings about a conversation among parents that it's not okay to put our children through something that we disagree with like this.
Courtney, what's your next step?
A lot lot of prayer, and I do attend every board meeting, and I plan to attend. Like you said, my children are very young. I have a lot of board meetings in my future.
Right.
So.
What stands out to me, Courtney, is I'm thinking when you and I were growing up, I think the maximum of our parents' involvement in our lives, quite frankly, was every now and again attending a school board meeting, maybe to try to get a budget passed or argue vociferously for a line item or something. I feel like in this day and age, parents like yourself and all over the nation have to fight for their kids. I don't want to say survival, that's a little bit hyperbolic, but fight for their youth, fight for their experience, fight for their 0 to 18 experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's imperative that that adults and parents in our nation get involved, that we know who our school board members are, what their names are, what their email addresses are, when your monthly board meetings are. And I encourage parents across this country to please get involved and go to these meetings and let your voice be heard. We are our children's voice, and I encourage everybody to get involved in your children's education.
We should mention that members from the Gwinnett County School Board have not yet returned Fox News' request for comment. Courtney, thanks so much for being here, and please come back and visit us. Let us know any updates. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bonjour, it is I, Jean-Pierre, baby Wood Sommelier,
Jean-Pierre.
and today...
So now that we've heard from one mother who... So now let's take a look at this video. This mom threatened the school board over a mask mandate.
No mask mandates. My children will not come to school on Monday with a mask on. That's not happening. And I will bring every single gun loaded and ready. I will call every...
That's 3 minutes. You're going past your time.
I'll see y'all. No mask mandates. My children will not come to school on...
She was arrested for making that threat. But Florida was forced to remove that mask mandate. But parents are pushing. Parents have been pushing for that mask mandate. Take a look. So let's take a look. Take a look at that video.
I will bring every single gun loaded and ready.
A Page County mother has been charged after making threatening comments to the county school board in a meeting Thursday night. Amelia Ruffner.
She was charged for making a school threat. You can't be doing that. Like, I want that to end. If I don't, this is blah 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 blah. There's no blah blah blah.
1 o'clock, packed to Iredell County.
Passions in the crowd.
Even parents are furious about. Even parents were even concerned about the mask mandate. So, you look up school board fights. Or look up. There was one with protests, and there it is.
Everyone said I'd have to leave.
This was
my
in
job
Utah.
to earn a marketing
This is like one of my
degree.
favorite moments ever to
Everyone
capture when we did
except
our season
WGU.
premiere.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second. We have a motion to adjourn.
This scene just last night, the Granite School Board abruptly ending their meeting while angry parents chant their opposition to masks for students. A lot of people still talking about that meeting today.
They are. Spencer Joseph has been talking to teachers and the group that called for parents to attend that meeting.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
To act in that manner in such an uncivil way, it was very disappointing and disheartening.
Senator come up here and speak in the name of my children who you guys are abusing?
It's one thing to be upset about the mask mandate, but it's something else entirely to behave like an unruly mob.
It is our elected officials who have pitted parents against school boards with their policies.
Chaos erupted at Tuesday's Granite School District meeting when the board moved on from public comment about the state's K-12 mask mandate continuing.
To be clear, at no point on last night's agenda was the mask mandate part of that discussion.
Parents even taking control of the meeting once it adjourned.
They're gonna leave!
We do not endorse or sanction those actions that lead to a mob rule mentality.
Utah Parents United, a group against a K-12 mask mandate, promoted the meeting for parents to voice their opinion, but said those who became unruly were individual parents.
You will listen to us! No, we've had our citizen participation.
School districts have the choice to let parents be heard, and when those parents weren't heard, that was the straw that brought the camel's back for them.
That behavior would not be tolerated in my classroom, and it was completely inappropriate in a public meeting.
Deborah Gatrol is a teacher with Granite and was very upset about what happened.
I'm not even sure that everyone who participated in that meeting is actually a Granite patron, let alone a Granite parent.
Utah Parents United say they will continue to civilly fight against masks, especially on Capitol Hill.
And we can do more. We can do more to reach out to our representatives.
But for Granite District, they are not changing their stance.
The order on the mask mandate was re-upped just yesterday through the end of the school year. Was the only portion of public health orders that was re-upped. That's a little bit ironic that this continues to be a hinge point for some people.
Granite School District said that the board had other items that they were supposed to get to that now have to be tabled to another day. At Granite School District, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And if you want to act like that prompted everyone protested during that time. It does not make any sense. Only in Utah.
Meanwhile, some parents are still frustrated about pandemic restrictions in schools, Rory.
Yeah, a group showed up at a...
When that isn't done, it'll be wearing a mask.
Some parents believe they should be able to choose if their student wears.
And everybody was angry at that board meeting in Utah. That was like one of my favorites, but still, you shouldn't be acting like that. You shouldn't be acting like that.
This problem.
Some parents.
And if parents are concerned about their child's safety, then it's like, you know, we're going back to the pandemic, but you know, since then, it was the option for kids to wear masks. The option. But what is happening with truancy? Next, we're going to look at the former county attorney who simply says that she wants to combat truancy. And we're also going to look at how truancy has happened during the pandemic from one judge. You please stay with us. If you're just joining us, tonight we're doing a Game Break special all about COVID-19 5 years later. Now remember back in 2020? Back in 2020, there was a thing, everyone was going back and forth between remote learning and in-person learning. Like week after week, 1 week would be remote learning while the other week would be in-person learning. Back to 5 days a week. A lot of people tried that, and within days, they were all shut down. So what's been going on with truancy since the pandemic? If you remember, we've been talking about truancy. We put bullying at number 2 and COVID-19 and COVID at number 1. The reason that is basically because that students have failed to turn in work by a certain time or have not attended a Zoom class, which is required by law. For one county attorney, which you'll meet tonight, she wanted to combat truancy, but all the loops happened through the hoop. So why would a judge be able to do such a thing when Texas legislature changed the law back in 2015? Here's Dylan Kohler.
This message today is for the parents of the school-aged children.
In August 2020, with the nation still firmly in the grips of the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, Karnes County Attorney Jennifer Dillingham went on Facebook and issued a stern warning to students and their parents.
So it is my promise to you, Karnes County, that your child and I will be seeing each other if you are not enrolled in school and actively engaging. I will prosecute these cases and I will make sure that we get on the right track.
Dillingham, who is now judge-elect for the 5-county 81st Judicial District, appeared to try and make good on her promise to tackle truancy. When weeks later, along with her assistant and the junior high principal, she showed up at students' homes and in at least 2 cases, according to state investigative files, actually went inside without a warrant while no parents were present. Sisters Leticia Hernandez and Maria Villanueva have homes on the same piece of land, and each reported Dillingham for possible official oppression.
My mother called me panicking because she was like, somebody's entering your home. There's these 3 individuals.
He wakes up to somebody, hey, wake up, screaming at him to wake up. He sees a lady in front of him.
So why would a county attorney ever go into somebody's home looking for a child? A criminal justice expert we interviewed at St. Edward's University called Dillingham's behavior problematic.
I'm sort of flabbergasted at her response to students missing school. Now, I would not even call it truancy. Everybody has moved away from a criminal justice response to truancy.
Dr. Karsten Andreessen points out that Dillingham's crusade to combat truancy came as most prosecutors have moved the other direction. In 2015, the Texas legislature took massive steps to decriminalize truancy, the act of repeatedly missing school without a justified reason. The law aided a continued decrease in how many of these types of cases are filed against minors statewide. Perhaps Dillingham didn't get the message. An investigation by the state attorney general's office attempted to determine whether Dillingham and her associates entered the homes illegally. It was later declined for prosecution. Reached by phone, Dillingham, who serves as the head of the Karnes City Independent School District Education Fund, called her relationship with the district complicated. After agreeing to meet with KSAT Investigates for this story, Dillingham subsequently canceled and was out of town at a conference when we came to her office.
Can we ask you a few questions?
We caught up with her weeks later as she left work.
Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
After exchanging pleasantries, Dillingham said the home visits were authorized, but wouldn't elaborate.
Mr. Collier, I'm just a public servant working hard as the county attorney, so I appreciate your time very
You're a
much.
county attorney who has overstepped your boundaries. You're not a law enforcement officer. So why are you going to parents' homes?
I didn't present to be. Have a wonderful day.
And there's more. The Karnes City junior high principal who accompanied Dillingham on some of those visits confirms the county attorney copy-edited this written exit letter last summer after the principal resigned. In it, the departing school administrator repeatedly called out Superintendent Hector Madrigal by name, questioning his professional demeanor and ethics, and that he uses bully tactics. We could find no record that Madrigal has been implicated in any ethics violations or other professional misconduct. Additionally, emails sent from Dillingham's official county account show her questioning the superintendent about whether he properly investigated incidents at the high school, and as recently as December, instructed him what to do next if the allegations were true. For Andreessen, the power play shows that Dillingham is way out of her lane.
Based on what you've read, does Dillingham have the right mentality to be a state district judge?
I don't think that she has the judgment to be a district judge. Somebody that has, taken a little bit of power from the county attorney and tried to sort of play kingmaker in the independent school district, has sort of tried to prosecute children and their parents for difficulties during COVID-19 with school attendance and logging on to schools, is not somebody that has the temperament to be a district judge, in my humble opinion.
For KSAT Investigates, I'm Dylan Collier.
Mr. Madrigal declined a request to be interviewed for this story.
On March 28th.
So, with that in mind, is she still doing her thing? Well, probably not, considering that she's now the district judge. But if I were to talk to have her agree to come on this broadcast to explain her side of the story, she would definitely confirm to me, yes. And I would say, like, well, we do have the paperwork from... We've received paperwork from the state attorney's office which specifically said, like, which was declined for prosecution. Do you want to explain that? And she looked at this and go, that incident right there, that was blah, 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 blah. And so really, it's like, you get to decide for yourself on whether or not you believe it should be fit for a judge. But other states, if you want to combat truancy, go to states where laws are very tough on truancy, like Iowa, California, Florida. Find states that don't decriminalize truancy, and even then, and even then, what you'll experience is that parents will be in jail alone, the children being in juvenile correction centers. Now, going back to online learning. After the first day of school, there were issues. And it wasn't just truancy. What you're about to hear was technical difficulties from the computers, which led to them being truant. Take a look.
Tennessee parents are getting Some Middle Tennessee parents are getting an unwelcome surprise in the mail. A letter threatening legal action if their child doesn't clean up their attendance for virtual learning. As kids head safely back to school, News Channel 5's Kyle Horan learned that many families are struggling to meet attendance requirements.
Little Jackson here is covering his ears in anticipation of this. His school-supplied laptop broke yesterday. For him, it was welcome news, as the first few weeks of kindergarten have not gone well.
It makes me tired.
Today I come home and ask him, did you get on your computer? Did you do any homework? Did you do any work? And some days it's yes, some days it's no.
Jackson's mother, Emily Miller, says this has been a struggle. She has him in a daycare while she and her husband work full-time, but Jackson cannot stay focused there. Miller knew Jackson wasn't getting adequate schooling in, but she was really surprised when she received this threatening letter.
In accordance with the state law, failure to comply will result in legal action. It's a fear tactic. I guess they're trying to scare people into participating. I know there are so many families that can't. They don't have childcare. They don't have an option. They are having to leave their kids at home. I think about single moms. I think about people with English is not their first language.
Miller says this is not the time to pressure families like this. And nearly 6,000 letters like this have already been sent out to parents in the district. But a Metro Nashville Public School spokesperson says fear isn't the intent.
We want our parents to hear us loud and clear, is to know that our first line of defense is to support them.
Dr. Michelle Springer, Chief of Student Services, says the district is going to be as flexible as possible with families. The letters are automatically triggered by a child who has 5 or more unexcused consecutive absences. It's state law that districts do this, even before the pandemic started.
We know that we must be flexible. We know that this is new for everyone. This virtual learning environment, some of our students are experiencing some difficulties.
Dr. Springer said they're doing what they can to help parents, which is why sites like this that help with PEC issues are spread throughout the city. But for this mom, she says right now, we're living in special circumstances, and these letters shouldn't be making it to families' mailboxes.
It shouldn't be a threatening letter.
Kyle Durant, News Channel 5.
The district has 6 sites where families can get technical help for their computers. Also, parents are asked to communicate with their school directly if they're struggling with online learning.
If you're craving crispy golden fries, but your bag is empty.
All right. Now, let's take a look back from Channel 3. And now all these years, since the pandemic, what has been happening with truancy cases since the pandemic? Because remember, truancy's not here, not because of the pandemic. It was because of it's always here in Nueces County. When we come back, we're going to be hearing from Judge Joe Benavides and another judge here in Corpus who may have some answers. Don't go away. Well, 5 years since the pandemic, what's been happening with truancy and COVID? If your child missed school because they didn't do remote learning, they were automatically absent. And in just a few minutes, we're going to recap from a Flower Bluff former Flower Bluff principal who's laying down the protocols. Who will lay down the protocols? But first, here's Noah Perez.
I've spoken to quite a few judges throughout Texas. We have over 1,000 truancy judges, and they're in the same boat.
Judge Joe Benavides talking about truancy cases and how they've risen during the pandemic. One cause, issues with students and parents keeping up with assignments while doing online classes. Parents say sometimes their kids are being counted absent when they've simply failed to turn in work by a certain time. Judge Benavides says he's heard many stories of families who are at the breaking point, dealing with job loss, illness, loss of childcare, and other issues that have been severely disruptive to their children's education.
There's teenagers working at Whataburger, working at Burger King, working at McDonald's. These kids are working because they're trying to help mom or dad pay the bills. You know, these are cases and cases of evictions right here and debt claims. It's really getting really bad. Parents on my side are struggling a lot.
Judge Thelma Rodriguez, who also hears truancy cases for CCISD and other districts in the area, says she and her fellow justices are handling these cases a little differently now, trying to help families who are struggling.
Mostly all doing deferred orders, which is like a probation period, and it's for counseling services to get with the students, virtual counseling services.
Both judges say they are trying to find nonprofit organizations, grants, and other community programs to help these families, most of whom are trying their best to see to their children's education in these extraordinary conditions.
We're not here to argue the child should be in school, the parent should be behind the iPad with the child. We're just trying to find solutions.
Nora Perez, 3 News.
And people can find solutions. There were solutions out there, but when stuff like this would happen, the plan was put in place, and nobody would even care about the new protocols. Now, let's take a look . Let's still look back in 2020 when the protocols that happened, the new protocols were put in place. For the reopening plan and the checklist and hybrid. Let's take a look.
Hi, this is James Crenshaw, Flower Bluff High School principal. Want to get a message out to our parents. We've sent a lot of information already about our school learning model during this online process. But what I was realizing after we sent it out is that it is rather complicated. The entire process is different than what you're used to at the beginning of the school year. So I wanted to kind of take a little time and go over some things that I think are some of the most important areas to focus on. I want to say that many of you already have Skyward Family and Student Access, but this year it's going to be more critical than ever that you have this access. For instance, your student under a normal year would be here day one and we would hand them a hard copy of their schedule. Well, this year the only way that they're going to get their schedule is through Student Access. So they're going to really need to be able to get there. Most of you already know the routine and you might already have a password, but we have put together a little section here if you're having troubles of what to do. First of all, you can go to this website and begin to start your student access, and if you have any trouble, here's some links and some phone numbers for staff here that are willing to help with that. So, number one, Student-family access. It's critical. The next little area I wanted to talk about is our schedule and how that works. Sometimes they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. In this case, I think a few words need to describe the picture, honestly. If you look at the schedule here, it's color-coded, and there'll be learning every day of the week, but it'll be divided into two kinds of learning: online in person and independent work. And here's in general how this is going to go. If your student here on Monday is online for first, second, and third period, they'll be there with a teacher and they'll be getting instruction and they'll be getting assignments and things they need to do. Well, the following day, they would work on those assignments here in the afternoon in these times that are independent work. And they would be preparing and finishing assignments and getting ready to get a grade for that work and turn it in during this period. So basically, instruction here, independent work here, turn in the product here. Same with Tuesday, Thursday. Instruction here, work on it here, be prepared to turn it in here. Now, another thing that is critical is we needed to have a productive Friday in this schedule. You remember last semester we did not have Fridays as instruction. We can't really do that and have the level of instruction we want. So we're toggling Fridays. If you see this schedule here has first, second, and third period as online. And if you go to the next week, we've done fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh online there. So within a 10-day span, you're able to get 5 days of instruction in all of your classes. So that's critical to us. These are going to be A and B schedules, you'll see, and we're going to have a calendar out. This usually doesn't confuse the kids whatsoever. It confuses the adults, including myself, but we'll have a schedule out to keep us adults focused. And that's the schedule in general. Want to talk about a little bit about our plans for online learning. Today, you'll actually receive a note about Chromebooks and calculators and textbooks. We're starting with Chromebooks. There'll be a Chromebook handout beginning next Monday, and we'll have more information out to you about that. Regarding textbooks, we're going to be online. It's scheduled till September the 4th. So we're really trying to focus on instruction for 3 weeks that doesn't require textbooks, so that we don't hand out a bunch of textbooks and then need to get them right back when we come back. So just know, if you need a Chromebook, there'll be Chromebooks available. Also, your student schedule and schedule changes. Usually when we're here, the schedules aren't perfect, and kids want to have a schedule change, or sometimes there might be a conflict in their schedule. This year, our counselors are really ready to work hard to contact your students who have conflicts in their schedules or missing periods in their schedules, and these are our counselors. They're geared up and ready to contact your student and you if there should be an issue. And of course, you can contact them if you have an issue, and we'll make every effort to get your students' schedule up and running as quickly as possible. But that's going to be quite challenging online. Also want to let you know that we do have a new mental health counselor. She started last year, and we were really glad to have her on board, because even during the online time, she really helped out. Stressful time, and she's going to be available here for your students, and this is her contact information. The next thing that I think is important to talk about is grading policy. Last year we had grades, and we went to online instruction rather quickly. Well, this year, I need you to know that our grading policy is going to be the same as if your students were here. We have to make sure that we hold students accountable and we hold ourselves accountable to the kind of instruction that we're used to. So for that reason, just know that our grading policies are just as if we were at home or at school working. And you need to really re-emphasize that to your students and make sure that they know that these assignments and these grades are for real and they're important. Next area I'd like to talk to you about a little bit is special programs. Some of your students are in 504 our English as a second language, our special education. I'm not going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb, but I want you to know we have a game plan here. And we have personnel that are ready to contact you and do what they need to do to make sure that we continue those services. The next thing I want to talk to you about that's hyper important is attendance. The state of Texas, Texas Education Agency, is requiring attendance. That means your student, even though they're online at home, is going to be required to be in those classrooms. And if they're not in the classroom, they're considered absent. And all of the truancy laws and all of the rules regarding the 90% rule to get credit, all those are in effect. In fact, if your student misses a day virtually, you'll still be getting a recorded phone call from me. I know many of you are used to those saying, "Hey, your student was out. Please send us an excuse." We're going to accept those excuses via email this year, and these are our attendance personnel that will be there ready to do that with you. For nutrition, please hit this link here, and there'll be more information about that on the district plan. Next thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is school visitors. At this time, to keep students and staff safe, we're not going to be able to have visitation like you're used to on our campus, and it's going to be restricted. That doesn't mean we don't want to help you. All of our staff is here and ready to help you virtually or via telephone with any of your needs. Up to and including, you might come up and we might meet you in your car to give you a document or talk to you about anything that you need. So know that even though we're not going to be with you face to face, we're going to be here for you, supporting your needs. The next thing I think we want to talk about, one, I'll just mention, is that after this is over, there's going to be a transition time where we go into either online or face-to-face instruction. We'll have more about that out in the future. So I just want you to know that after the online session is here, we're going to be here and ready to educate your students on campus if your student wants to be here and you feel like it's safe for them to be here. I'm not going to go into the COVID-19 practices and health protocols right now because that's more for when we're back and your student is on campus. Know that we're taking care and planning to make sure that your student's safe. And I will be getting you more information out about what we do after September the 4th very soon. The next little area I want to talk about is just some contact information. Hopefully you've seen it throughout this document. Based on whatever the subject matter is, you've got your contact information right there. But my secretary and my number is 6.
That's basically it. Now, the student checklist.
Lather, rinse, repeat. It never feels like enough. It's not your products.
Now some information about hybrid learning.
This is James Crenshaw, principal of Flower Bluff High School. Wanted to visit a little bit this morning with high school parents. I know that by following social media just a little bit, there's a lot of questions about the hybrid model. So I was thinking maybe spending just a few minutes with you this morning will help you understand that a little bit more and help you make a good decision. Before I get started though, what I want you to know is this. We want your students back. We want them back on this campus. I do. The administration does, teachers do. We want to see your students. What we want to do is make sure that as we do that, it's as safe as possible. So for that reason, we've decided to go with a hybrid model. What I want you to think about when you think about the hybrid model is to think that that's really a transition model. So we're going to use this hybrid to bring the kids back in such a manner that will allow us to really work through our systems. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But let me talk to you first a little bit about what the hybrid schedule would look like. One is, it's a full day schedule, normal schedule like kids would be used to going. The difference is that we're going to have your student come on one day and be here a full day, 7 periods. And they would be with their teacher, they would be learning with their peers. The next day, your student would be home experiencing that same day, full day, with that same teacher, and experiencing that at home. So basically, half of the student body would be here one day, and half of the student body would be here the next day. We want our students to be here every day, but I feel as the principal, it's super important that we start with this hybrid/transition model. Here's a few of the reasons I think the hybrid model is important. Number one, the biggest variable in this entire model is you. We need to know if your student is coming or if your student is staying home online. And I need you to know that if your student is staying home online, the experience is going to be very similar. They will be experiencing a full day with their teachers and with their peers. It would just be at home. And whatever decision you make, I completely respect that decision. And that's a family decision. I understand that. So one of the biggest reasons is we need to know the numbers so that we can appropriately plan. A few of the other reasons we need to do this is that we need to be able to train teachers and train students to make safe transitions from one class to another. And we need to be able to train students to make a safe transition to the lunchroom and have a great lunch and also be safe and socially distanced. So we have some systems and some processes to work out. One of those that we need to mention is transportation. If your student is generally transported to school by bus because you qualified for that, we want to do that, and we're going to do that. This hybrid model allows us to manage those numbers at first so that we can really understand and help get your student here safely. Now, the number one reason for me that I want to open with a hybrid model is this. I want to open and I want to stay open. I've seen a lot of schools across the country get excited about opening and not have the processes in place to do that, and guess what? They were closed in 5 days. We don't want to do that here at Flower Bluff. We want to open, stay open, transition to full capacity, and get going. We want to play football. We want to play volleyball. We want to play an instrument in the band. We want to win district. We want to win region in UIL academics. We want to do that stuff that we're doing and what makes us famous. I really feel it's important to be able to start out in this transition phase to make sure that we do that right. And I'm going to need your help, and I'm going to need your students' help to get that done. I want you to know that the minute we get this all worked out and the processes and our systems are in place, I want to bring everybody back that wants to be back. And I also want you to know if you choose not to come back because you don't think it's safe for you and your family, I respect that. And you're still one of our students, and I want to make sure you get the best education possible. So I hope that today that straightened out a little bit about what the hybrid model is about, enough where you go in there and make your commitment. We get those hard numbers, get our plans finished, we'll get some more hard data out to you, what that schedule would look like, what a typical day would look like, and all of those things. So please go online and make your commitment. It'll really help us plan. And I thank you and have a good day.
All right. Now for the reopening, what happened was what happened was is just, you know, also to put in place social distancing, mask mandates, all that, but doesn't have enough time. So let's take a look at this one, and then we're going to wrap it up. So that was a couple that I wanted to point out there. Now, are we still going to have a new pandemic happening? When we return, we're going to look at a school district that may have the answer to that question as we continue as we conclude our special Echoes of the Pandemic 5 years later. Stay with us. As we conclude Echoes of the Pandemic, Argument Break Special, local school districts are response to COVID-19. And according to this video from back in March, an entire COVID-19 during school online was unheard of, but COVID-19 forced leaders to make those changes. As a result, there are many impacts in education. So what are those impacts? Let's take a look.
March 2020. The spread of COVID-19 had already started to have its impact on the Buckeye State. Each day, many wondered what would come next.
I think we forget sometimes that it was scary. People were dying. We didn't know what was making it spread, or we didn't understand it at all. There was no vaccine.
But March 12th, 2020 is the day that changed the lives for millions of Ohioans. They just didn't know it yet.
So we are announcing today that children of the state will have an extended spring break.
Ohio became the first in the nation to issue a statewide school closure.
We thought we were going to be out of work or closed schools and government entities for maybe 4 or 5 days. And then the next thing we knew, we were shut down for 6 weeks. Then it was 9 weeks.
It didn't last long before things started to turn. Cases were climbing, and so was the death toll.
To go back to school now with a relatively small amount of time left by a large number of superintendents, principals, others who've expressed to me that probably is not a good idea.
The governor closed school for the rest of the academic year. In a matter of days, districts had to pivot out of a classroom and onto a laptop.
We were not a one-to-one district at that time. I think about our tech director, who took us from having about 4,000 devices in the district to 10,000.
They had to figure out how to feed their kids.
I would not have been aware of the number of kids that eat lunch with us and don't eat again until they come back to us.
Being the superintendent of a school district and navigating a pandemic was unprecedented.
There were a lot of sleepless nights. There were a lot of days where there was no appetite. When you hear that children are ill, when you hear that you've lost an employee due to COVID, you feel a sense of helplessness.
It's a job that became harder with a senior class losing the final weeks of high school and their impending graduation.
We did a 12-hour graduation. So we stood on a stage. I remember I didn't think my feet would ever recover for 12 hours and brought kids. We lined them up in a snake kind of pattern throughout the building.
Some districts even chose to do drive-through graduations. School leaders took a first-time-for-everything approach.
Because it never had been asked, right? You don't know what you can do until the expectation is set. And not only did they meet the expectation, they went above and beyond and exceeded expectations.
As the weeks and semesters passed, districts navigated hybrid learning, social distancing, and eventually a full return back to class. There were challenges at every turn.
There was learning loss. And in some instances, we are still working to close that gap for children who were starting in kindergarten and first grade and maybe had some challenges in learning how to read, learning how to do math.
What would you say now, 5 years since it started, are some good things that have come out of this for a school district?
I think we're all much more connected, right? Our kids, we have a pretty good balance here, I think, of how much our kids are online. So now it's a tool. It's not the only tool.
COVID-19 has changed the entire landscape of traditional schooling.
I don't know if we would have changed so quickly or evolved so quickly if it wasn't something as serious as the nature of the pandemic. On the other hand, though, I'm glad it's so far behind us.
Both superintendents say a big part of getting through the pandemic was having all of the area superintendents and health leaders constantly communicating and making decisions together. Reporting tonight, I'm Kaylee Kirby for WTOL 11.
As a final thought, we got through it. We've been through this. We went through all the years through the pandemic. We followed protocols and rules. We followed all the rules, we followed all the we followed all the procedures. And when workplaces decided to end mask mandates, it was like, because I remember this. You know, if you don't get your vaccine, you're still going to wear a mask. But if you did, if you got your vaccine, you got to show your boss a vaccine card. And to this day, I still have mine. And I carry it with me as a day to remember. It was July and August of 2021, and I still remember to this day when I carry this card. which was the Pfizer vaccine, was the number one recommended vaccine. And my friends at work were telling me, like, you should get the vaccine. I'm like, and my mom was like telling me, don't do it. And I had to make a conscious decision, like, do I go against my mom, or should I continue wearing a mask? Well, I don't want to wear a mask anymore, so I'm going to go against my mom. And so you know what I did? I went to HEB, got and signed up for the vaccine. Even I went against my mother. Even I went against my mom. First shot, I was A-okay. Then going back to the 4th. Second dose, I was feeling a little bit dizzy. I wasn't feeling myself, but I felt okay. And I'm still COVID free to this day. No loss of taste, no loss of smell, no nothing. I am now 3.5 years COVID free. 3.5. And if I hadn't went against my mother, I would have continued to wear that mask. Well, that's it. That's our Give Me a Break Throwback Thursday special. Echoes of the Pandemic 5 years later. And that's all for this special edition of Give Me a Break Thursday going to Friday. We'll see you again tomorrow. We might be off tomorrow. So we'll see if we're off. We might be off tomorrow. So if we're off tomorrow, we'll see you again for Give Me a Break Saturday. We might be off tonight. I might be off today. But if I'm off today, I'll see you tomorrow for Give Me a Break Saturday. If not, we'll see you again later today. When I say going into Friday, I mean it is already Friday. When I say Thursday going to Friday, it's already Friday. When Friday going to Saturday, it is Saturday. So you get the picture. So again, that's all for this special edition of Give Me a Break Thursday going into Friday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Friday. If not, we'll see you again for Second Look Saturday. To Dangerous Hallways. Now, we've seen that story many times, but we're taking a second look into it. Why? Because the spotlight was right back on the victims. For all of us here at YouTube at Give Me a Break, stop bullying, speak up, concentration not strength, no jaywalking. Take care of yourself and each other. Good night. I'll see you later today.